Hello and welcome to the Wisconsin Association for College Admission Counseling College Exploration Program. Thank you so much for joining us. I apologize for the little bit of delay here, but we are excited for our panelists for UW-Madison. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes. Your camera and microphone are turned off for everyone in the audience, so our panelists cannot see or hear you. You can type your questions at any point in time in the Q&A, and that will be sent to our panelists. There's a lot of you and just a couple of them, so if they don't get to your questions during the presentation, they will get a transcript of those questions later. And then just be sure to check out wacac.com for the full schedule. We still have a couple more presentations left, and then this will be recorded and the recording will be available on that website. So without any further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Jane and Ashanti from UW-Madison. Take it away.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate you, appreciate StriveScan. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It looks like there still are a few people joining us. So we will get started though, because we know we were a little bit late. And we're very excited to have you here spending about 45 minutes with us today. So we'll jump into our introductions. My name is Jane Duffstein. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I work in the University of Wisconsin-Madison Office of Admissions and Recruitment on the Wisconsin Initiatives team.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashanti Rogers. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I also work with Jane on the Wisconsin Initiatives team in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment at UW-Madison.
Awesome, and we just want to make sure you're familiar with that Q&A button that Dan pointed out. If you do have questions while we're talking, you can please put them there. We will do our best to get to all of your questions that we can live, and the ones that we receive in the transcript that we just can't get to, we will navigate back to you as soon as we are able and get you a response. So we are excited to get going, and we're always excited to talk about Madison, Wisconsin with Wisconsinites. There was a brief question here already about the website that Dan mentioned. That was the WACAC, the WACAC website, so the Wisconsin Association of College Admissions Counselors. So you can check that out. That's where you signed up for this event most likely. Great, so we are gonna jump into it. Madison, Wisconsin is a beautiful city, and that is what we're looking at here on our slides. So many of you from the state of Wisconsin have maybe visited for a field trip to the Capitol, or you've been to campus for something fun or brainy or a sporting event. And there's a big variety of reasons you've been to campus or the city, and we're hoping to tell you a little bit more about our campus and our opportunities today. So we are also going to talk about academic offerings at UW-Madison. How the heck do you find your people on our campus, on a big, large place, or in college in general? We'll go into some specifics about applying to UW-Madison, deadlines, timelines, materials to gather, and most importantly and most excitedly, Ashanti and I are both proud graduates of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we are here to do some myth busting. We are your personal UW-Madison Mythbusters. We know there's a lot of ideas and thoughts out there. We want to try to make sure you've got the correct information for yourself, for your family members, your counselors, and your peers. And then of course, we'll make sure there's lots of time to answer your questions. All right, take it away, Ashanti.
Awesome, thank you, Jane. That was a wonderful introduction, and thank you for the sound effects. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. So we're gonna first talk about academic offerings. So as y'all can see, we have over 120 majors. Majors are just specific fields of interest or passions that you want to go into and study while you're in college. We also have over 70 certificates. Some of y'all might be familiar with the term minors. Minors are a little bit different than certificates. Certificates give you a broader range of skills and knowledge within that specific study. For instance, I minored in German. So with my I had a certificate in German. So my certificate studies was more than just German classes or the German language. It also included things like learning German literature, learning German history, learning the food, just getting more involved with the culture, and understanding and appreciating those differences. Within our 125 majors, we have 8 undergraduate schools and colleges. So this just helps split up those majors so you can find what you're interested in a little bit easier. So we have School of Business, School of Education, College of Engineering, College or School of Nursing, and School of Pharmacy, which are pretty clear as to what you would be interested in and what kind of majors or passions you would like in order to go into those schools. However, there are 3 schools up here that are a little less unclear that I'd like to talk about. We have the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences. So if you're interested in anything regarding food science, agriculture, just overall human well-being and production, dairy science, as well as pre-med, which folks don't know about, you will be placed into CALS. And that's just so you can, again, talk about well-being, food production, or overall like community and wellness. We also have the College or the School of Human Ecology, or SOHE. SOHE is super broad. We have things from fashion, creativity, design, to numbers and solving human world problems. And then we also have our College of Letters and Science. So I was in College of Letters and Science with my psychology major. So the letters are things like arts, writing, and languages, and then your sciences are your traditional STEM majors. So your biology, your anything with mathematics, but you also have your human and social sciences. So you also find social work, you'll find sociology, again, my major, psychology, and anything regarding humanities. Next slide, please. So in mentioning all of those majors and the schools that we have, it might seem a little overwhelming and a little intimidating to go through. You might also be thinking, well, what if I don't know what major I want to go into? What if I go into UW-Madison undecided? Don't worry, we will support you and guide you. We do have a great resource called the Guide, or guide.wisc.edu, and it's just to help undergraduates explore their opportunities on campus. As you can see on the right here, or on the left here, these are all of your interests. So let's say you're just specifically interested in numbers, or you're specifically interested in creative arts and you want to know what school or what major, you can click on these pathways, and then on the right, it will tell you what all the different majors are within that interest, which again will help guide you into a major, but again, you do not need to know what major you want to pursue.
And so, Ashanti, I've heard that maybe you should know your major, and maybe that's going to somehow advantage you in the process, or maybe you should only apply to UW-Madison if you're interested in science or technology or engineering or math or something researchy. What are your thoughts on that?
So I have heard the same thing when I was in high school, and Jane and all my friends here, I want to lay any questions assured that even though we are a big research facility and we do have a lot of research opportunities and internships within the majors, you do not need to be STEM or interested in research in order to attend here. We have, as you can see on this list here on the left, there are creative rights, there's cultures and languages, there's food and nutrition, health and wellness. Whatever you're interested in, we will support you, and there is a major for you here, which is what's great about having so many different majors and pathways here on campus. So as I said, we do have lots to offer here on campus, and there's lots of interests and passions that you can pursue. However, please don't feel rushed in making a decision on what you're interested in or what you feel like your major should be. there is tons of time to explore. Me personally, I wanted to go into pre-med, so that was what my goal was going into school. And then I also did psychology and German. However, my junior year, I changed my major. And I changed my focus. So you still have lots of time to really get down to the niche of what you're interested in. Just to go back to that undecided part, thousands of students apply to our campus undecided. And what's great about our campus is that not only do we have all of those majors and resources to help you navigate all of those options, but we also have what's called cross-college advising services, and they will also help you figure out what that passion, what that major coursework would be. And if you fall somewhere in between not knowing what you want to do or knowing probably too much and wanting to go into lots of different majors and courses, cross-college advising services can help you with that as well.
Awesome. So I just really want to emphasize this myth that's out there that Ashanti is helping us bust. We really want you to apply to UW-Madison with all of your interests in mind. If you know what you want, that's great, but we love, love, love reading of undecided students as well. So another thing I've heard from a lot of students or counselors or just other humans is Madison is a big campus, it's a big city, there's a lot going on. How the heck am I gonna find my people on that college campus at UW-Madison? What do you think, Ashanti?
I think that's a great question. And I think, just in today's community and climate, that's probably a big concern on everyone's minds, not just students, but families and counselors as well. How are we going to fit in? Are we going to be welcomed? Am I going to be safe on campus? And I'd like to say that although we are a big campus, finding your community on campus is relatively easy if you're open to new things, and you can always make your big campus small here at UW-Madison.
Awesome, thank you. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about UW-Madison, Ashanti.
Well, we have slides for that. So before I get into the community, I just want to briefly talk about the Wisconsin idea. So UW-Madison is not just dedicated to bringing on scholars and leaders and innovators on campus, but we really want to take those different people, those different communities and outlooks, and give them knowledge and a wealth of passion in order to give it back to the community. So we want y'all to be change agents. We want y'all to pursue your passion here on campus. That way, when you go into your fields, into your careers, back to your hometowns or wherever the case may be that you wind up, that you take what you've learned on campus and you apply it. And you apply it to help the better good and be of public service. So as I said, you have a lot of ways to make a big campus small, which is great because it's harder to make a small campus big. So in adjusting to campus, it might sound a little weird, but the very first thing that we always say is just say hello. Be friendly, reach out to your peers, reach out to strangers. If you see someone walking, we're in the Midwest, so we're super friendly here and we are always smiling. If you make contact, you probably get a nod or a smile back. Get involved and seek out resources are two of the main things to go out into campus. So if you know of a community or you know of an organization or you would need help, seeking out those resources and getting involved with those opportunities is a great way to make your campus small. Being open to trying new things and talking with your professors and peers, and then first and foremost, asking questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I know y'all probably heard that 1,000 times being in high school, but it's even more important here on college. Because if you have that question, if you have that feeling and you get it out in the space, not only will you feel validated, but you'll probably see that you don't stand alone in that question or in that feeling. And that's a great way to make connections. So again, making your big campus smaller. There are tons of organizations and opportunities to get involved here. I will only point out a few. So things like student organizations. Some of y'all might be interested or know about what's called Greek organizations or Greek lettered organizations. And that's if you know of like the deltas, the kappas, lambdas, if you know strolling, if you've seen any of those cool probates, that's what all our Greek organizations do. And they also do have philanthropies that work with the community as well, or education. However, we do have thousands or hundreds of other student organizations that are non-Greek letters. So let's say you're just interested in squirrel watching, or you're interested in cheese. There is a group for you there. There's a community for you there. There's also peer learning communities. So we offer free tutoring, which is awesome. And we also offer peer learning communities, which are tutoring groups. So you have a group of folks that is interested in the same topic or is needing some more help or support in that same topic. And so y'all research and learn together. There's also research opportunities, internships, study abroad, honors, and first interest learning, first interest groups or FIGs, and those are all based on your around your academics, taking your learning beyond just the classroom. You also have residential learning communities, which are in your res halls or your residential life, and then of course we have our sports. We have intramural sports, sports clubs, and our Big Ten sports. But our support and communities go well beyond just those opportunities. We do have a lot of cultural centers and our resource centers as well. So we have a cultural center, the Multicultural Student Center, which encompasses all cultures. And then we do split out cultures to give like specific students a space, a safe space to go convene, talk about issues, talk about resources and support. What's nice about all of our multicultural centers and communities is that although they are focused on, let's say, one topic and where they're in support within the community, you are always welcome to join those spaces and join in those conversations as an ally or just as a listener, as a learner. Say, for instance, if you want to learn more about Black Lives Matter, you are free to go into the Black Cultural Center or the Multicultural Student Center and feel welcomed there regardless of how you identify, if you're just willing to learn and listen. We also have cultural and resource centers that focus on diversity outside of race and ethnicity. We have our Gender and Sexuality Campus Center. We have our International Student Services, University Veteran Services, and our Transfer Transition Program. Student supports. So with all of that diversity, all of that inclusion, there are still learning opportunities, there are still growth opportunities within those, and we want to make sure that students are supported on their journey to campus or through campus. So we have what's called the Writing Center. It's a great resource for not just getting your essays proofread or not just going over a resume. They actually give you skills on how to write that resume, how to do a cover letter. They help with interviewing processes. They also give out sessions where you can walk in and learn more skills. They have a ton of different resources for your English language and your writing. There's also Guts, which I said is a free tutoring service. What's nice though is that for a lot of students, they feel that tutoring is just if you need help, which is true, but tutoring is also if you want to stay ahead or if you just want support and community. So it's definitely an opportunity for you to stay ahead in your classes, or if you want to get ahead in your classes, take a hold of that opportunity. Studies show that the most successful students actually are in some type of tutoring program. Then we also have student employment, career services, the Mortgage Center for Public Service, and our religious organizations as well.
Well, that was a lot. Thank you, Ashanti. I think that some of that as I think about my experience, UW-Madison makes me think more about how it really did become a small campus. I went to a pretty small high school. There were only about 100 of us in the graduating class, and I got to UW-Madison and it was quite large. And then I realized, wait, I'm seeing the same people. I'm, seeing friendly faces. I'm talking to professors. My language classes were quite small. And it really, there's so many ways, which is the great advantage of a big campus, like you were saying.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Ashanti has convinced me. I don't know about you. I'm interested in applying. I'm interested in the information and then getting onto some questions, right? So we want you to apply to UW-Madison. That's right, you, a Wisconsin resident, most likely, if you are watching us here on this wonderful WACAC event. So we have a commitment to the university, obviously to the state. We are the flagship, the big campus, the main campus. We're committed to the state. So that means we want to admit and enroll students from all the 72 counties in Wisconsin, people from diverse places, diverse backgrounds, with lots of diverse experiences that you're bringing to us. And this means that the last few years, we have been able to admit 2 out of every 3 Wisconsin residents because we are committed to the state and we really want to make sure we are enrolling and just maintaining the quality class of humans coming from Wisconsin. The other thing that's important to know coming from Wisconsin is that we really want to make college affordable. So this means that if you are thinking about paying for college, you're wondering, you're concerned, you've maybe heard about the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, you're wondering how much it would cost to go to UW-Madison. Maybe you've heard it's expensive, right, Ashanti? I think you had some thoughts about it's expensive, or we've heard people say that.
Yeah, so it sounds like a great opportunity, and if I was a student, I would love to learn more, but I heard that attending a Big Ten college is really expensive. How would I afford that? How would my family be able to support me?
And it's a great question. So there's a few things to think about. And it does depend on your family finances, what expensive looks like and what it means and what the cost of a college will be for you. So every college, and UW-Madison has this on our financial aid website, there is a net price calculator. And so this can help you determine for your family what the cost of attendance at UW-Madison may be. The FAFSA website also has a FAFSA forecaster, so you can learn pretty quickly if you think you'll be eligible within the FAFSA, maybe for a Pell Grant or some other great federal aid. But here at UW-Madison, we are consistently listed for Wisconsin residents on the most affordable lists. And the most recent list was that large public university list. So we are, for Wisconsin residents, a pretty great value. And for Wisconsin families whose adjusted gross income is $60,000 or less, if you're able to complete that FAFSA, when you apply and are admitted, you will automatically receive Bucky's Tuition Promise. Bucky's Tuition Promise is for incoming freshmen who have applied, been admitted, and meet these qualifications of the adjusted gross income of $60,000 or less. And it means you will receive free tuition and fees for the 4 years with us when you join as a freshman, or 2 years of free tuition and fees when you join us as a transfer. So please check out our financial aid website for more information. Look at that net price calculator, whether it's at our university or at other universities. And we really do have this commitment to the state, and we hope that everybody interested will apply, that it doesn't stop you if you think we're expensive. It doesn't stop you if you don't know your major. We really want to see those applications. We're excited to read them.
Hey Jane, I do have another question though. I heard only a few people from each school get in. Isn't UW-Madison really competitive?
Another great question. Another thing we hear a lot, as you can imagine, that, there's only a couple people from my school, or I only know a few people who got in. I mean, one thing I'll say, and it might sound cheesy or it might sound like I'm making it up, but if you don't apply, you can't get in. So sometimes students will look and they'll say, oh goodness, it's competitive, it's whatever, it's UW-Madison, I don't know, it makes me nervous, and they don't apply. But we've been able to admit consistently for the last 4 or 5 years or longer, 2 out of every 3 students coming in as freshmen from Wisconsin. So that's a higher admit rate for students from Wisconsin than from out of state because of this commitment. And we're really looking at a lot of different things when we look at your application. So we use a holistic review, which means we look at all of it. And so before I dig in a little bit more there, I want to just highlight that there are 2 deadlines if you're in high school and you're a freshman, you know, thinking of applying as a freshman to us. If you can see colors, these are in the red circles. They're a little bit darker out here. So freshmen do have the opportunity to apply early. Early action means you get all your materials in by November 1st. And applying early for early action simply means you'll have a response from us earlier than typical. And so you have a little bit more time to decide. Historically, May 1st is that national decision deadline. And so you would have until then, you would receive your response by the end of January and have until May 1st to decide. The other deadline, if you're applying from high school, is the regular decision deadline, which is February 1st. So again, get all of your materials together by February 1st and receive your decision by the end of March. And again, you'd have until May 1st. There are transfer deadlines here as well, which we're very happy to respond to or talk about during our Q&A. But to Ashanti's point, we use a holistic review. This means there are no minimums. Somebody asked if there was a minimum GPA. There is no minimum GPA. There's no magical formula. Ashanti and I sit down at our computers and we look at every single application that comes in individually. We look at what your school offers. So we are not comparing you to a different high school that may offer a different curriculum. We are not comparing you in any way. We're looking at you, what you've taken, what your school offers, and you know what you've been able to do, how you've been able to perform, and what you've been able to write about your interests and your life and all of this. So again, we're a university and we're looking at academics first and foremost. We're looking at the classes you've taken within what is offered. Have you been able to grow from freshman year and beyond? You know, sometimes freshman year is not great. It's hard. It's an adjustment. That's okay. Or sometimes last year, you know, moving into remote learning or just having everything that's unsettling with COVID happening, maybe it was a down year, a down semester, or it just looked weird. That's okay. We want to see growth. We want to see an upward trend when possible. And we just want to see that you're really engaged in your learning. So how you can show us that is by getting that great letter of recommendation that somebody who knows you well can write for you, making sure your essays really represent who you are. We love to hear your voice. We love to know your story, hear more. You know, when it's just a transcript, there's only so much we can tell. So we love those essays. We love the writing that a teacher or a counselor submits on your behalf. And we love seeing the activities that you were able to participate in. We know that will look different during COVID, but you know, what are your interests? You really have an opportunity in the 2 essays that you submit to us to tell us a little bit more. And it looks like somehow my slide about materials is not here. Oh no, that makes me a little sad. So I am gonna go back here to what we're looking for, and I'm gonna let you know that in order to complete your application and submit a completed application, you'll use either the common application or the UW system application. We'll make sure this information is on our website, and we'll make sure that you get it later. You'll also have to submit either a $60 fee or a fee waiver. If you believe you and your family qualify for a fee waiver, you can select that on the application, or you can connect with a counselor at your school. Then there's 2 essays. The first essay is you write about yourself. The second essay is UW-Madison, the campus essay. Then you're also going to have 1 letter of recommendation that we hope comes from a teacher or counselor. And we are test optional this year. which means we're test optional through people applying through spring 2023. So if you're currently starting as a junior or starting as a senior in high school this year, you are definitely in the test optional range. We're hoping to expand it farther and beyond, but right now the UW system has approved us for these 2 cycles. And so this means when you apply, you'll have the opportunity to say if you want your test score included, and it's up to you. We're happy to read your application no matter how it comes to us. So if you've taken a test and you believe that it really speaks to your academic strengths, then you are able to submit that as part of your application, and we will review it. But to us, the most important things are that you've been challenging yourself and that you've been able to write about that and write about your interests. And in your writing, you're able to show us your voice. And then when you have somebody write on your behalf, that they're able to give us a little bit more context. I do apologize. I don't know how that slide just vanished out of nowhere. Somebody must have been listening and they didn't want me to have it. But we'd want to make sure we have a few minutes here. Dan said we could go about 3 minutes over because we were a little bit late. So we want to make sure we get to some questions. Was there anything on your mind, Ashanti, that I missed so far?
No, so sorry about that slide, but I think you did a great job of the materials. And I just want to drive home the point that we don't look for cookie cutter students. We really want y'all to be as individual as you possibly can, right? And your individual story, your family, your background, your school, the things that interest you is what makes you a Badger. Not us trying to put that onto you and not trying to fill a pressure or fill a gap on our campus. We really want you to feel like your needs, your wants, your passions align with UW-Madison and that you're supported within our campus.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Ashanti. So let's get to some questions.
Yeah, we have quite a few here.
Yeah, Ashanti, would you like to maybe talk about living on campus? Somebody's asking about residence halls, dorm life, being there, and I can add something if you'd like to.
Sure, yeah. So I lived on campus my freshman year, and it was a great experience. I lived on one of those opportunities I had mentioned called Residence Life Learning Opportunity, or learning community. All of our residential life learning opportunities have like a specific topic that you can learn more about. So we have the multicultural community, we have the queer community, we have the arts community, we have language communities, all within the residence halls. So if you're interested or you identify as those markers or you just want to learn more about it, you can actually find a community in residential life to live on that floor and learn more about, or just feel supported. Residential life in general, you don't have to live on campus. It's not required to live on campus. However, the majority of our freshman students do live on campus. And then within living on campus, you do get the opportunity of selecting your roommate or having it be random. So that's a little interesting. If you do have a roommate, there's things like roommate agreements. So let's say you go to bed at 9 o'clock and your roommate goes to bed at like 12 in the morning. That would be something you'd like to talk about. Or if they like to vacuum at 4 in the morning, like that's something that you probably want to talk about. Or if you're just a night owl and your roommate is a morning hawk. Those are things that the Res Life will help you navigate. And it's really a great opportunity for you to not only get to know a roommate, but also get to know the other folks on campus. Just like if you were to come home every day, you would see those same people every day, talk about classes, talk about the crazy weather. If you're here during the winter and you've never seen snow before, or you have to get a winter coat, those are supports that you will find in your resident halls as well.
All right, great. And I also just want to make sure that folks are looking at the question and answer. Even if you don't have a question and answer, some of these we've been responding to by typing. So there are some websites and some links. I've been trying to make public answers so that folks can see them and get the links and click on them as well. There's a few questions, Ashanti. I think you and I can talk a little bit about this. about classes to take in high school, how to prepare, right? A little hard for us to know exactly who's in the audience, but we're happy. We hope we have 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th graders. Everybody. Heck, I hope we have an 8th grader out there. That's you. Shout out. So what are classes you can take? What are things, especially if you're thinking UW-Madison, whether you come in as a freshman or you come in as a transfer, what are we going to look for? I think the two biggest things I want to highlight are our math minimums and our world language requirements. So somebody asked about a language, and we do actually have a recommended 2-year minimum of the same language that you take in high school. So if you are able to take 2 units or 2 years of the same language, that will put you at our minimums. So if you take 3 or 4 years, you'll fall into our more competitive group of students. For math, I'll be quick, and then we'll try to get to one more question for Ashanti here. For math, we're looking for minimums of a unit of algebra, geometry, and then a unit of advanced math beyond that. So usually that's algebra 2. So the minimum tends to be algebra 2. And again, a student who goes above and beyond that, who takes pre-calc or calc or higher, those are the math classes that we consider advanced math. And again, we do tend to see students taking the 3 and 4 units of math, especially if you want to study something related to math. So that's our best example out there. Is those 5 core courses also are very important to us. We're going to pay most close attention to English, social studies, math, science, and a world language. All right, so let's see if there's an awesome question for Ashanti here. And there are so many questions, folks, because there are hundreds of you in the session. And so we are going to make sure we get to your questions. There was a few questions about tuition and costs. I did type in the website there. But let's see if there's a really good.
While Jane is looking, I just want to echo and reiterate that it's great that y'all are typing in questions, and please continue to type in questions, because even if we can't verbally address them on here, we're going to get all of these questions sent to us, and then we'll be able to follow up with every single question and answer it for you. So please continue asking questions. Don't be concerned if it's overwhelming for us. We love answering questions. We want to make sure that y'all get all your questions answered.
Great. Maybe this is a good question because it kind of speaks to a few things. It speaks to academics, but also personal life and fun and, you know, the campus. So Ashanti, could you talk a little bit about would you consider classes rigorous, and how could you, or how could anybody try to balance that? Is it possible to balance it with your personal life?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, it is very possible. So we do want you to take rigorous courses, and we do want to challenge you here at UW. So the classes are to expand you and to challenge you, not just in, you know, getting an A or a B, but also expand how you study, expand how you communicate. And so some of those might be new, like high school came really easy to me. And then going into college, I got slapped with some grades that were not A's and B's. And that was very shocking to me. And I was really hurt by it at first, and then had to just sit down and think about how I was studying. Like, it wasn't the material, it was just the time I was allocating to the class. So it is possible to balance that life with studying and with also having a social life, because we also want you to have fun on campus. There's tons to do on campus as well. So I would recommend things like planners, things like doing your calculator or doing your calendar in Google, and also just setting a time where you know that you're going to be studious. That's so helpful. And then also setting time for sleeping and eating. The college fatigue is real, and I know y'all have probably seen the memes or the stories about the burnt out college student, or the student that's in like sweatpants and like drool and they're in a messy bun, and like, maybe that's some people, but like ultimately we don't want that to be your experience. We don't want you to be burnt out. We want you to have fun. We want you to challenge yourself, but we also want you to take care of yourself. We want to make sure that you have time for sleeping, for eating, for going home every weekend if that's what you need, or having time to just have community with the friends that you make on campus. So it is possible. It just takes a little bit of time, a lot of practice, and giving yourself the chance to actually get into the groove. It's not as natural for some people as it is for others. And it definitely wasn't for me.
Yeah, and I would just echo that. There were a few questions out there about, would UW-Madison be too challenging or is it too difficult? And we're glad you're asking that question. But honestly, if you like to learn and you like to challenge yourself and you've, done all right in high school, done pretty well and been able to ask questions or kind of take extra time when things don't automatically click, you are going to do it in college. And so, you could join us as a freshman, you could join us as a transfer student. Sometimes people think maybe our campus is a little too big at first, or they want to stay closer to home and work at first for a little bit, or they want to try out the 2-year campus that's closest to them and make sure they know exactly what major they want. There are lots of pathways, lots of ways to get to UW-Madison. But if you join us either as a freshman or a transfer, the point and the goal is that you graduate from UW-Madison, and that's where you get your diploma from. That's where you get your degree. So we love to have students apply from all over. And we tried to wrap up 3 minutes late, Dan. Did we do it? So we hope you apply. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ashanti. On Wisconsin. Dan, I think you're muted.
Of course. Thank you very much to Jane and Ashanti. On Wisconsin, indeed. For everyone in the audience, thank you very much for joining us. When you close this window, there'll be a very quick 4-question survey. If you could provide a little bit of feedback to us, that would be great. And then there are 4 more sessions happening for Wisconsin students tonight. You can check out that full schedule and register at wacac.com. That's wacac.com. And the recordings from all the sessions will be available there as well. So thank you again to UW-Madison, and have a great evening, everyone.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.